Now our movie opens at an orphanage in the kingdom of Hereford, where a young girl named Jennifer and a little boy named Tiger are blowing wishes out the window until they see a carriage roll in through the orphanage gates. Inside is Mr. Brittles, who slams open the orphanage door in search of a child that stole cakes. Jennifer knows that Tiger did it, but if he reveals himself, he'll be sent off to the troll wars. Courageously, she stands and announces that she was the one who stole the cakes. Mr. Brittle takes her away, tossing her in a cage attached to the back of the carriage. Now, as it's about to roll away, a man appears in a midst of yellow light. The man, a magician named Zambini, asks Mr. Brittle to offer Jennifer a coat, but he refuses. So Zambini turns Mr. Brittle into a polar bear, much to the delight of the children peering down from their bedroom window. After that polar bear morphs into a jacket, and Zambini gives that jacket to Jennifer to warm her up. He asks her if she'd like to be his assistant, and she agrees. So Zambini takes her to see the magical barrier stones that prevent humans from entering the Dragonlands. He reveals that dragons are the soul of magic but are dying out, and his life work is to do something to help them. Afterwards, they ride to Zambini Towers, which functions as the head office of Kazam, an employment agency for sorcerers that Zambini owns. 2 employees work and live there full-time, the wizards Mubin and Lady Morgan. So Jennifer's working as Zambini's assistant for many years. He's showing her how to measure magic using a small wooden machine and explains that magic is waning and dying out. Powerful wizards have now been reduced to plumbing jobs and party tricks. Zambini even gives her a pet, something called a quark beast, that looks a lot like a dog but can morph into a different form. Now time's passing by, Jennifer's getting older. They're out one day, measuring magic by the boundary stones, when Zambini notices that yet another dragon seems to have died. Jennifer wonders if the dragons dying out is the cause of the decline of magic, and Zambini looks like he agrees. He heads out of town to attend to some business and doesn't allow Jennifer to come with him. That night, they wait for Zambini at dinner, but he's not appearing. He doesn't come back the next day either. Jennifer tries to look in his room for clues as to where he's gone, but the door's locked with magic. They look around town and eventually put up missing person flyers, but still don't find him. More time passes by. Zambini's still missing, and the magic grows weaker by the day. Now Jennifer, Mubin, and Lady Morgan are hired for an electrical rewiring job. These days, normal electricians have been replaced by magical ones, but Jennifer convinces the woman that they'll do a great job. Mubin and Lady Morgan begin their work, but are interrupted when Mubin has a vision. He tells Jennifer that the last dragon will die soon. Close by in the king's castle, the royal seer has the same vision and races to tell King Snod. The king berates the seer for knocking on his bedroom chambers, but when the seer tells him of his vision, he's suddenly interested. The seer explains that Maltcassian, the last dragon, will violate the Dragon Pact, and the official Dragonslayer will slay Maltcassian using the sword Exorbitus at noon on Sunday. With the last dragon dead, the Dragonlands can finally be claimed, expanding the king's kingdom. Now King Snod calls for the Dragonslayer to be brought to him. Back at Zambini Tower, the magicians and Jennifer return home to find a green portal manifesting in their house. Zambini's trying to contact them by writing a note on a piece of paper but can't finish the sentence before the portal dissipates. Well, Jennifer realizes that if magic dies with the dragon, then they'll never get Zambini back. She puts on her coat and heads out on a mission to stop the Dragonslayer. Outside, the town's in a frenzy as every seer has predicted the death of the last dragon. The king's top knight, Sir Grifflon, is already at the Dragonslayer HQ to summon the Dragonslayer. However, they can't seem to find him. Jennifer, on the other hand, finds him quite quickly. The Dragonslayer, whose name is Brian, takes Jennifer into his headquarters and, despite her protests, shows her a short film on the history of Dragonslayers. Long ago, dragons were a common nuisance, stealing treasure from kings, eating livestock, and killing people. Knights tried to help, but the more dragons they killed, the more the dragons thrived. A great wizard named Shandar met with the king and promised to solve the dragon problem for money. You see, Shandar met with the dragons and discovered that they wanted a kingdom of their own, so together with Shandar they pooled their magic and forged the Dragon Pact. Barrier stones were created to prevent any humans from entering the dragon's land, while the dragons were free to fly beyond the boundary. But if a dragon ever violated the pact by harming a human, then the official Dragonslayer is called into action. Now the Dragonslayer, along with his assistant, as the only two humans permitted to cross into the Dragonlands, can seek out the offending dragon and slay it. So afterwards, Brian lets Jennifer hold Exorbitus, the official dragon slaying sword that can cut through magic. Engraved into the blade are the names of every dragon slayer, past and future, and Jennifer is stunned to see her own name written on it. Seconds after she wields the sword, Brian turns to dust, and another film plays on his TV. Through the film, it's revealed that Brian was meant to feel his age, 153 years old, as soon as the true Dragon Slayer held Exorbitus. And with that, he wishes her good luck, and the film ends. Jennifer has no idea what to do next. After all, she only went looking for the Dragon Slayer so that she could tell him not to slay the dragon. So when she steps out of the Dragon Slayer HQ, a sack is drawn over her head, and Jennifer's tossed into a cage. She's taken to the castle to meet with King Snod. She tries to tell him that killing the last dragon will end magic.
Killing the dragon might end magic.
But expand his kingdom into the Dragonlands to build shopping centers and fortresses. But to do that, Jennifer needs to agree to have Sir Grifflin accompany her as her assistant. She doesn't immediately accept, and
no thanks.
So the king gives her a day to think it over. So now Jen's heading home when she's picked up in a carriage by Tiger and Madame Zenania, who owns the orphanage. We find out that Tiger has found a new home at the TV station, but they'll only agree to take him if Jennifer does an exclusive interview with him. Well, she agrees, and the carriage brings them to the boundary stones at the border of the kingdom, where the TV crew's set up. Hundreds of people have already set up camp along the border, hoping to claim some land when the dragon's slayed and the magical walls fall. Jennifer's put in place beside her interviewer, a beautiful reporter named Hermione Twizzle. They ask her superficial questions like, what's she gonna wear on Sunday? But Jennifer asserts that she's not gonna kill the dragon because they are the soul of magic. The crowd turns into an angry mob, and to escape them, Jennifer flings herself across the magical boundary wall where they can't follow her. Meanwhile, back at Zambini Tower, Lady Magwan notices that the note Zambini started to write was written on the back of a receipt dated to the day he disappeared. They figure that if they go to the store he was at last, they can do a seeing spell to find out where he is now. And over here we have Jennifer traveling across the Dragonlands. She calls out that she seeks an audience with the last dragon, and Maltcassian appears, a fiery red dragon. He asks her why she's there so early, as the slaying is not until Sunday.
It's not Sunday yet, is it?
But Jennifer explains that she doesn't want to slay him, and instead wants to find out where Zambini has gone to. Maltcassian tells her that if she doesn't slay him, magic will destroy the kingdom, and they'll all perish. With that, he flies off, and Jennifer heads back to Hereford. So she returns to Zambini Tower to find Tiger there as her replacement. Mubin fills her in on the seeing spell, and that night, they head to the supermarket where the receipt is from to cast the spell which shows events that happened in the past in a particular place. They perform the spell and see a vision of Zambini leaving the market and getting trapped, but get no other clues. Now before bed, Jennifer talks to Tiger and reveals that she loves Zambini like a father. And when she wakes up the next morning, they find a lawyer at the door who wants to sue them for damages at their last rewiring job. Gordon, an orphan who used to know Tiger and Jennifer, is also at the door. Now Gordon seems rather shy at first, but interrogates the lawyer so thoroughly that she's forced to drop the case and leave. Saying all this, Jennifer hires Gordon as her dragon-slaying assistant when he asks for the job. Now while magic was waning for years, in the last couple of days it's increased manifold. Jennifer ponders this with Mubin and Lady Morgan when she suddenly realizes that the sword she inherited, Exorbitus, can cut through magic. She heads back to Dragonslayer HQ to pick up the sword, testing it to enter the attic above the headquarters.
Let's see how this handles a lock.
Inside is the real skeleton of an entire dragon, teeth and all. While she's up there, a dark magician enters the house and tries to kill her. They fight it out, and Jen manages to pin him down and trap him. After some questioning, the wizard reveals that his name is Blowclock, and he doesn't want the last dragon to be killed. Well, Jennifer tells him that she doesn't want to kill the dragon anyway. And they both come to a conclusion that something is up and vow to get to the bottom of it. So Jennifer goes to the border and throws a piece of human-made trash across the magical wall that separates the human lands of Hereford and Dragonlands. Predictably, the trash bounces back. Then she throws the dragon's tooth she found in the attic, and it explodes into flames, but Jen doesn't understand why. Now we have Sir Grifflon trying to arrest Jennifer for not paying taxes, but Gordon has set up an agreement with a local supermarket that makes them enough money to pay the taxes easily, foiling Grifflon's plan to coerce Jennifer into making him her assistant. Now the supermarket Stuff Co.
The Stuff Co. president's a good woman.
Uses Jennifer as a brand sponsor to sell their products, and she's dragged into doing silly commercials and ad campaigns for him. As they're walking home, Gordon reveals that he used to be an indentured servant for Stuff Co. Now when Jennifer gets home, she uses the sword to break open the magical lock on Zambini's study, and they enter. The room's dark and cluttered with books about dragons, his lifelong dream. By now, Jennifer has pieced together that the Dragonlands isn't just closed off to humans, but doesn't allow the dragons to leave either. So why did the dragons allow Shandar to build them what amounts to a prison? Well, it's finally Sunday, the day that Jennifer's supposed to kill the dragon. The townspeople are excited, and the magic levels have gone up enormously. Jennifer and Tiger wake up on the floor of the study, glumly thinking about their predicament. Suddenly, Jennifer realizes that Shandar's company is the Stuff Co. supermarket, the same supermarket that's sponsoring her, and the same supermarket that Zambini visited the day he disappeared. So Jen bikes down to Dragonslayer HQ to find Gordon, but finds Sir Grifflon instead, who gives her one last chance to accept him as her assistant, offering her all of the kingdom's resources to find Zambini in return. Well, Jennifer refuses that, and so Grifflon tries to kill her, sure that if she dies, the Dragonslayer role would be passed to him. Tiger's taken away by the king's guards, but Jennifer escapes in a car, and she heads to Zambini Tower, where Lady Morgan uses a distraction spell to hide Jennifer. Now she hears on the radio that the whole kingdom is waiting anxiously at the border for her to arrive and slay this dragon. Unable to handle all the stress, Jen breaks down and starts to cry. Lady Morgan, in a rare display of affection, hugs her and tells her to do what she thinks is right.
You're afraid of letting him down, aren't you?
On the TV, Hermione Twizzle's interviewing Gordon, who calls her a coward and explains that it thus falls to him as the Dragonslayer's assistant to kill the dragon.
Assistant to kill the dragon.
Well, Jennifer gets in her car, headed to the border to stop him, and runs into trouble with Sir Grifflon, who managed to get a hold of a cannon-bearing tank. Jennifer almost gets shot, but is rescued by Blokelock, who's fatally wounded in turn. She tries to get help, but he's begging her to save the dragon instead.
Dragon.
Well, she makes it across the border with her pet cork beast by her side. Meanwhile, Lady Morgan rescues Tiger. Jennifer walks through the Dragonlands, noticing Stuff Co. flags along the way, which means that Gordon's already there. He shoots at her, but she quickly ducks, hiding behind rocks. And as she's hiding, Gordon calls out that Zambini was captured by Stuff Co. because he was getting dangerously close to figuring out how to save dragons. Now, the cork beast attacks Gordon, destroying his gun but getting shot in the process. Jen figures out that Gordon can only be on this side of the border because he's her assistant, and so she says out loud that he's fired, which makes him evaporate in a flash of red sparks. From the nearby mountains, Maltcassian roars and descends upon Jennifer. Meanwhile, back in Hereford, magic's going berserk. Now Jennifer tells Maltcassian that she knows he hasn't broken the dragon pact. In response, the dragon flies her up the mountains to show her that the magical boundary walls are unstable. If she doesn't kill him, the world as they know it will end. But Jennifer states that if magic ends, then Zambini will be trapped forever. Maltcassian replies that his sacrifice may be worth it to save the rest of the world. So Jen stabs it through the heart, and the boundary walls crumble. The humans rejoice as they rush to claim Dragonland, but suddenly, 2 more dragons appear from the distant horizon. Sir Grifflon shoots one down successfully, but 2 more are produced from its fallen body. Jennifer climbs back down to Hereford on shaking legs, unaware of the new dragons. She walks down to Zambini Towers in tears and finds the wizards and Tiger packing bags into a carriage. She apologizes for killing the dragon, but Lady Morgan tells her to look up to the sky, where young dragons fly free in the air. Jennifer should be proud, but Zambini is still trapped by Stuff Co., and she has no way of retrieving him. So feeling dismayed, she gets into the house and sits down on the chair in his study. Outside, the wind's howling and a dragon screeches. The wizards rush out of the house to see a flashing tornado swirling above it. The magic measuring machine explodes, and Zambini is suddenly in his study right in front of Jennifer. He tells her that he's incredibly proud of her, and they hug as Jennifer's explaining her new theories. By now, she's pieced together that dragons are reborn by being slain in combat. Shandar's border stones kept soldiers away from them, so the dragons started dying of old age instead. That's why Maltcassian wanted to be killed. Zambini flickers in and out of existence, and we find out that he's still trapped by Stuff Co. And when he disappears entirely, Jennifer turns around to find that the study, as well as the house, has been gifted to her. And that's how the film wrapped up, leaving room for a sequel. I don't know, would you have had the courage to slay that dragon like Jen did? Or would you have come up with something else? Let us know in those comments with the hashtag CinemaRecap. Till next time.